Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something truly mind-bending. We're looking at a groundbreaking dual narrative that is completely redefining both how we do science and how we understand the cosmos itself. We're examining researcher Håkan Oczuk's work, where a deep, collaborative dialogue with artificial intelligence didn't just fix typos, it actually helped construct a radically new proposed cosmological model called the 5D substrate framework. It's a journey from the nature of thought, literally straight into the fabric of reality.
Okay, let's dive right in. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, a new scientific dialogue. Second, the 5D substrate model. Third, the Projection Codex. Then we'll look at solving cosmological tensions, check out the hydrogen floor test, and finally, wrap things up with the future of discovery.
Section 1. A new scientific dialogue, the intellectual mirror. Now, before we get into the wild world of fifth dimensions, we really need to understand the methodology here. This brilliantly illustrates how Oczuk's work with AI completely shifted from your basic transactional tasks, like simple grammar checks, to a genuine synergy as a research partner. We're talking about a space where human intuition, imagination, and scientific intent met the AI's analytical consistency. The AI essentially became what Oczuk calls an intellectual mirror, reflecting incredibly complex theories back to the researcher to expose any hidden assumptions. And the absolutely crucial point to remember is that the AI didn't invent the physics. The ideas were always the researchers. But through this process of constructive disagreement, the AI literally forced Oczuk to refine his concepts. For instance, the AI kept trying to pin down a single central principle for the universe, mostly because that's how a lot of standard physics theories are written. But Oczuk had to push back, clarifying that his framework actually has no privileged center. It's a fully interdependent system. That back-and-forth dialogue, it sharpened the theory immensely. So, what does this all mean? That brings us to the ultimate question. If this intensive, months-long debate between a human researcher and an AI helped refine a theory to absolute precision, what did that theoretical framework actually look like? What exactly is the cosmological model they were working on? Section 2. The 5D substrate model, a new ontological architecture. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we frame it. We're looking at a new structural interpretation, not a total replacement of our established empirical laws. At the very core of this framework is this wild concept of a timeless dimension. The 5D substrate is defined as a domain that literally doesn't experience time sequentially. Instead, it exists as a perfect ontological coincidence at absolute zero. You can think of it like an infinite reservoir that holds all structural potential, from which every single observable physical state is born. So where exactly does that leave us? Well, under this framework, our observable spacetime, the 4D universe we actually live in, is not fundamental. It's continuously generated through a projection process from that timeless 5D substrate. That makes our universe an open system. There's this continuous bidirectional flow of energy and information happening right now between the 5D reservoir and our 4D reality. Let's contrast this new way with the standard model. Standard cosmology treats the universe as a closed system, born from a hot Big Bang singularity, and it relies really heavily on unseen dark matter and dark energy to make the math work out. But this proposed framework sees an open system with continuous 5D projection. And get this, it proposes a cold start thermodynamic inversion. So instead of a hot, chaotic singularity, the universe starts cold and perfectly ordered, and then warms up over time as matter clumps together. It completely eliminates the need for singularities or exotic particles. Section 3. The Projection Codex. Rules of Emergence. Okay, so if the 4D universe is just a projection, how exactly does that translation happen? Enter the Projection Codex. You can think of this as the governing interface, a super strict set of logical constraints. It ensures that as 5D potential becomes 4D reality, the projection remains totally internally consistent and avoids any physical paradoxes. It's basically the operating system of the universe. And here are the actual rules of that codex. A couple of these are just mind-blowing. First, take finite resolution. This rule naturally limits the precision of the 4D projection, which the framework proposes is the actual root cause of quantum uncertainty. Basically, things get fuzzy at the absolute smallest scales because the projection resolution itself has limits. Second is temporal modulation, which suggests that time itself acts as an active selector, changing how coarse or fine the projection is depending on the specific cosmic epoch. So the crucial point is, how does this model handle the actual substance of the universe? Well, it proposes S-energy as the foundational structure of the 5D substrate. But even more interestingly, it introduces S-matter. See, S-matter doesn't condense into standard interacting particles like the stuff we're made of. Instead, it projects raw gravitational curvature. This gives us a really clean geometric alternative for the cosmic scaffolding that holds galaxies together, basically offering a totally new explanation for what we currently just label as dark matter. Section 4. Solving cosmological tensions. The framework in action. Let's move on and see how this builds, because a theory is only as good as the problems it solves, right? Let's see how this untangles some of modern cosmology's most stubborn anomalies. Take black holes. Standard physics really struggles with the information paradox, but this framework says black holes are simply resolution points, where the 4D projection gets way too dense, crashes, and then safely reverts that information back to 5D. What about the Hubble tension, or evolving dark energy? The model proposes a hydraulic effect. Energy flows into our 4D universe primarily through empty cosmic voids, which naturally pushes spacetime apart and drives that apparent cosmic acceleration. Furthermore, the framework introduces this dual-mode formation principle. Standard models usually rely on small things clumping into big things over a long period of time, a bottom-up approach. But this new principle suggests that global, massive structures can form directly from 5D geometric gaps super early on. That's top-down structuring, while the local aggregation takes over later. This elegantly resolves the tension over why the James Webb Space Telescope keeps finding these massive, fully formed galaxies way too early in the universe's history. Section 5. The hydrogen floor test, falsifying the framework. Of course, any robust scientific hypothesis absolutely must be testable. Now, we mentioned the hydraulic effect a minute ago, this active injection of S energy into our 4D universe happening mostly in deep, empty cosmic voids. But unlike other 4D interacting dark energy models that just sort of push existing energy around, this 5D permeation actually creates something brand new. It condenses a tiny fraction of that incoming S energy into brand new baryons, specifically pristine neutral hydrogen. Now, what's really interesting is this highly specific number, 2 × 10 to the -7th. According to the framework's calculations, this represents the predicted baseline density of pristine neutral hydrogen atoms per cubic centimeter in the absolute deepest cosmic voids. Obviously, it's incredibly sparse, but mathematically, it has to be there if this theory is correct. And that is exactly why this number is so vital. This void hydrogen floor elevates the whole framework to falsifiable precision cosmology status. It predicts a uniform, non-zero background of neutral hydrogen exactly where standard models expect absolutely nothing. If upcoming deep radio surveys, like the Square Kilometer Array Pathfinders, actually discover this exact floor, it would serve as the ultimate smoking gun, completely validating the 5D model over standard 4D fluid models. Section 6. The future of discovery, methodology, and meaning. So, let's bring this dual narrative back together. The framework is beautifully balanced. It doesn't just erase thermodynamics or general relativity or quantum mechanics. Those validated 4D laws remained perfectly intact for empirical observation. What the 5D ontological domain adds is a complementary explanatory layer, a unified foundation that actually explains why those laws exist without contradicting them at all. And this brings us right back to where we started. The quality of a scientific framework is determined not only by the originality of its ideas, but also by the quality of the dialogue through which those ideas are refined. The long-term, iterative dialogue with the AI wasn't just some gimmick. It became an absolutely indispensable instrument for disciplined thinking, making sure the model's internal architecture was completely logically sound. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. If a highly structured dialogue with an AI can help map out the mechanics of the fifth dimension and offer clean solutions to the deepest enigmas in astrophysics, what mysteries of reality will collaborative human-machine intelligence unlock tomorrow? The universe is vast, and it really seems like we've just found a powerful new lens to view it through. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the cosmos.